Hello there, it's Road Dodgers Politics, back with another video. So this video I'm going to make because I don't know how to live stream now that YouTube and Google have stopped doing the Hangouts thing. So if someone wants to direct me in the right direction on that, please do. So breaking news today, and I sort of suspected it anyway. Boris Johnson has announced that he is going to suspend or prorogue Parliament in order to get through what we now know to be a No Deal Brexit, basically, which is a way of basically shutting down Parliament, i.e. MPs don't sit in Parliament when they're supposed to, are sort of stop from doing their job, basically, so that the government of the day, the Conservative Party, which is now run by a sort of quite right-wing cabinet of lunatics as far as I'm concerned, can get through their ideological version of Brexit, which in their eyes is a no-deal Brexit. In which case the likelihood of the economy crashing is quite high. Jobs could be lost. The pound could slump on a huge level. It already is on its way downhill at the moment. But a whole multitude of things that are not good things happening currently, if we are to carry on down the path that we are going on with Mr. Johnson as PM. And I've just recently seen on the BBC News website that Ruth Davidson, who is the head of the Scottish Conservatives, is thinking about or on the brink of resigning herself. I'm not sure if that's got anything to do with this, but, you know, it could possibly very well have something to do with what's gone on today. So, yeah, the idea of this prorogation, as it were, it smacks of dictatorship to me. I don't know about anyone else. It's just basically Boris Johnson becoming his own sort of tin pot dictator. Because in making this decision, he's actively disallowing democracy, or what exists of democracy in this country, disallowing it to happen, to take place, to exist within the Houses of Parliament. I mean, I'm not saying we're a perfectly, democratic country where everybody is allowed a fair vote. Well, everyone obviously gets a vote, but we have an unelected monarch. We have an unelected second chamber, the House of Lords. And the only elected part is the House of Commons. And our voting system is not 100% democratic because it's first past the post as opposed to proportional representation, which is more democratic. But that's what we have at the moment, and we just have to stick with it unless something drastically changes. This is a drastic move. But I'll just read you a little bit from the BBC website. Parliament will be suspended just days after MPs return to work in September and only a few weeks before the Brexit deadline, which is the 31st of October, which is in about 2 months' time, just over, give or take. But it means the time MPs have to pass laws to stop a no-deal Brexit on the 31st of October would be cut. House of Commons Speaker John Bercow said it was a constitutional outrage. The Speaker, who does not traditionally comment on political announcements, continued, however, it is dressed up, it is blindingly obvious that the purpose of suspending Parliament now would be to stop MPs debating Brexit and performing its duty in shaping a course for the country. Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn said suspending Parliament is not acceptable, it is not on. what the Prime Minister is doing is a smash and grab on our democracy to force through a no deal. He said, when MPs return to the Commons next Tuesday, the first thing we'll do is attempt legislation to prevent what the PM is doing, followed by a vote of no confidence at some point. And bear in mind, they don't have a very long time to do this now that the government has announced this, because what it basically means is it prevents MPs from carrying out legislation, debating, passing bills, etc. They're basically, they can't do that with Parliament suspended. Now you see that it's undemocratic, right? And if you're a Brexiteer and you can't see that that's not democratic, that's not democratic, then I'm sorry, but you've gone too far down that rabbit hole now, and I'm very sorry for you. So let's carry on. 3 Conservative members of the Queen's Privy Council took to the request to suspend Parliament to the monarch. So basically, Boris Johnson went to the Queen and asked her to do this, if he could do this. She, of course, acquiesced, said, of course you can, go right ahead. I mean, it's not as if she can say no. I didn't think she can say no. It would be hugely exceptional if she had said no. But it brings my estimations of the royal family down quite a few notches by that piece of news. It has now been approved, allowing the government to suspend Parliament no earlier than Monday the 9th of September and no later than Thursday the 12th of September until Monday the 14th of October. So, considering Parliament goes back on Tuesday, which is, the 3rd, and Parliament, considering the earliest it can be suspended is the 9th, that's less than a week. So they have barely, MPs who oppose this have barely a week to call a vote of no confidence or find a way of preventing a no deal from happening, which is really not very long. And I just feel like our very core of our democracy, what very little we had. I mean, we're not exactly North Korea, but I feel like it's just being snatched from under our noses, and there's very little we can do except possibly going on a general strike, mass riots, which as a last resort. There's a petition going around at the moment to prevent proroguing. I'll leave a link for you to sign that as well, which I encourage you to do so. But yeah, it's not a very good state of affairs. I find it quite horrifying, to be honest. Just horrifying. And it's just a corrupt power grab by some right-wing Brexiters who have been wanting this to happen for decades. They've gone too far with this one. They've got to the point where they are obliterating the country. They've just divided it up into pieces, and now they just want to sweep it, just completely destroy what we have. It's selfish, it's corrupt, it's narcissistic, it's entitled. I mean, what else can you expect from these bastards? That they're not interested in the country, they're not interested in the people that live in this country. They're interested in their own self-preservation, their jobs, their money. Where's the next paycheck going to come from? Because it's not as if they're short on cash, is it? It's just ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. I'm horrified. And we should all be standing up to this and shouting it from the streets. Because this isn't acceptable. In a so-called democracy, you have a government that is actively taking steps to avoid democracy and avoid accountability. And that is not acceptable. So yes, that's pretty much it. I know that a great deal of opposition members from the Green Party to Labour to Lib Dems to SNP have been vocally challenging this, so they should, which I'm glad that they have. But this needs to be taken very seriously now, so yeah, very, very sad time. I don't know what's going to happen, but I just don't want this selfish pack of cunts to continue doing what they're doing, because it doesn't represent me, and I'm sure it doesn't represent you. So that's all I have to say. Cheerio, folks. Keep fighting the good fight. See you in another video. Don't forget to sub.